Somebody asked, what shows do you watch? Interesting question. I watch Walking Dead is probably the only one that I watch fairly religiously, and that's on today. I haven't watched Breaking Bad. I plan to do that at some point. All the things like Game of Thrones and stuff where people have gone crazy about it, like, oh, it's the best show ever, you have no idea, it's so great, oh my god, I want to masturbate to it. Those shows I will eventually watch. I just don't have the time right now. The only one right now I watch religiously is Walking Dead. Ones in the past I've watched religiously, House. I love the show House. I'm an NBA nut. Whenever I'm editing for the show, there's always NBA on in the background. I'm a Knicks fan, which means I should be crying right now because they're the worst team in the league. I watch documentaries at a level that's ridiculous. Like, I watch at least 2 a week. And if I run out of them, I find new ones. I used to watch King of Queens. I think that was a hilarious show. And because I'm still 13 years old at heart, I'd say my favorite show of all time, Kenan and Kel. Even to this day, man, I'm not going to lie, I've watched some of the episodes recently on YouTube. I still laugh. Like, the humor's not supposed to make somebody who's my age laugh, but I laugh. I just love it. I just think it's the greatest show ever. Next question. Do you plan on ever being a guest on TYT? The answer is absolutely. In fact, we have it all worked out. We're just waiting, I'm waiting to hear back from Joe Rogan. When I go to California, like, look, man, you guys have to know that outside of what I do for the show, I'm the laziest motherfucker on planet Earth. So if I'm going to fly all the way out to California, if I'm going to fly to LA, I'm in New York, it's all the way across the country. If I'm going to go there, I'm not going to go there just to do, like, one TYT show. I'm just not going to do it. So if I go there, I'd prefer, hey, I'll do, like, 2 TYT shows, and, I'll do Anna's show if she wants me to, The Point, and I'll go on Joe Rogan's podcast for 3 hours. I want to have some things lined up for when I go out there. And the thing about Joe Rogan is, it takes him a while to get back to you, and like even Cenk told the story about how, he was supposed to go on, and it took Joe a long time, and then he was finally like, okay, now today you're coming. So he's Joe Rogan does all this other stuff, so he's not mainly focused on his podcast, so it's been a while that we're waiting, but as soon as he says, hey, we can squeeze you in this date or that date, then I'm going to set up an entire trip, I'm going to go out there, and they already want me to live out there and do my show from the studios there. Not sure I want to do that, though, because I'm the soldier of the East Coast, and I'm a New Yorker at heart. So I'm not sure if I would do that, and I would go live out there, but certainly in the future, I'll probably be taking many trips out there. All right, next question is, how did you become famous on YouTube? Not sure. I'm not sure you could call me famous. Maybe you could call me YouTube famous specifically, I guess, but what does that count for? I'm like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm like G-list famous. People recognize me if it's only a progressive gathering or an atheist gathering. I've only been recognized like 2 or 3 times in my life, so I'm really not, it's not fame, but on YouTube, how did I get popular on YouTube? A bunch of stuff. First of all, luck, for sure. Help. People like Lilith and good people like you guys who listen to the show who just helped me tremendously. And hard work. Look, in that sense, you could say I'm a little bit of a conservative goofball because it certainly is true that if you bust your ass and you work really hard, you can override the statistics that are against you. And that goes for anybody and everybody. Hard work ups your chance of making it. Just, of course, unfortunately, the problem is in society, some people by default are almost forced to work harder than other people to get to the same place because of social class and because of problems like racism and stuff like that. But it certainly is true that hard work is huge. The hours I have to work for the show, honestly, they make no sense. They're so long. Like, I wake up at 9 o'clock. I have to read until 2:30 or 3. If I'm lucky, I get to take a quick shower. Sometimes I don't. Then I go on air for 2 hours. I get off. I eat a little something, I work out, and then I just have to edit until I go to sleep at night. So it's literally all day long. You're not going to make it at anything if you're not obsessed with the thing and you're not willing to just dedicate your life to it. And that's essentially what I've done for this. And I know it sounds corny because it's YouTube, right? Like, oh, you dedicated your life to being a douchebag with a microphone? Yeah, I did. It's corny, it's cheesy, but that's what I did. And the luck part really came in with the time meshing perfectly for me to become a partner channel and an affiliate channel with TYT. They were just looking to expand at the time, and they had a few spots for a few more channels, and they offered me a contract, and I said, let's do it. And then ever since I joined with them, because of hard work and because of them helping me and because of luck, the channel just blew up. All right, the next question. At what age did you become an atheist? I love that question. I don't know the exact answer. I really don't. But I was pretty young. I was raised Catholic, but it's never not like I ever really believed it. You know what I mean? Like, as I was being raised, I was never like, oh, I really think this is true. I do remember asking my biology teacher when I was a little kid. I said, she was explaining evolution, and I was like, wait, but we learned in our religious teaching, it was called CCD, we learned there that I thought there was like Adam and Eve or something, and I forget how she sidestepped it, but she's like, that's different. Like, that's something different. I think she's mandated to have to sidestep it and not say, like, that's wrong. So I remember being confused as a little kid, like, wait, is that true, the Adam and Eve thing, or is the evolution thing true? I don't really get it. And then obviously, as I got older, I got Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion, when I was really young. I remember my mom got it for me for Christmas because I asked for it, and I thought it was tremendous. It really changed my life in a way, because I was like, oh, wow, this guy's using his brain. This guy's being irrational. He's using reason. I really like this. I wonder if I can apply this to other areas of life. And then from then on, it was just a love affair with thinking and trusting your own logical abilities, you know? Like, a lot of people, they'll think something, and then if somebody comes along with any power or authority and they say the opposite, people just defer. Like, well, he has more power, I guess he's right. Here, you win. No, trust your own mind. Trust your logic. You can do it. Like, you're able to think just like anybody else is. Stand up and argue when you think you got something right and other people have it wrong. And it always made sense to me. I've always described myself as an agnostic atheist, because I think that's an important thing to bring up, because one question is, what do you know? The other question is, what do you believe? In terms of what I know, I don't know. So I'm an agnostic in that sense. In terms of what I believe, well, I actively live my life as if Yahweh is not real and Jesus isn't real and Muhammad's not the prophet. So in that sense, and there isn't a God. So in that sense, I'm an atheist. And I always was a fan of that basic idea from when I was young. The idea that when you don't know something, just say you don't know it. Like, there's nothing I hate more than people who clearly don't know something, but then they come in with like false bravado and explain shit that they don't know, and it's clear that they don't know. You could see right through it, and if you press them on it, it just fucking crumbles. Everything crumbles. And to me, it's like, it's funny that they say atheists and agnostics and secular people are arrogant, because to me it's the exact opposite. I was always just put off by the arrogance of religious people, because it's like, you don't know. Like, at least admit it, that you believe in your religion just for emotional comfort. Like, if you admit that, okay, I get it. Like, I'm not going to push you on it. I'm not going to try to deconvert you. If you say, look, man, I got nothing really going for me right now. If somebody's in jail and they turn to Jesus or they turn to Islam, it's like, okay, I get it, man. I get it. I'm not going to come and take it away from you. But at least admit it. Admit that that's the point. The point is, hey, I was born into it. Or, hey, it just makes me feel better. At least admit that. To me, it's always like, honesty wins out. So to say I don't know about something I don't know, that's awesome. When somebody else says, it's like, oh, that's awesome. Because then I trust you. But if you breach that trust, it's like, well, then how do I know that everything else you're saying isn't bullshit? Because it's such a clear example of, like, people who are being honest and people who aren't. The people who say that seven-headed dragons exist and the Noah story is real and they believe in the literal resurrection of Jesus and the flying bodily to heaven and that the devil's real with the horns and the fucking pitchfork. It's like, you don't know. Stop saying that you know. So I always have had this loving feeling towards the people who are humble enough to admit that they don't know when they don't know. So to answer your question, I've been secular for a very long time. It seemed like it was more innate and it was more the natural thing to believe. I was able to piece together when I was a really little kid that Santa wasn't real, because My dad, when he used to eat dinner, he would always drink when there was still like food on his lips, and you'd see the outline of his lips on the glass. There was like crumbs on it, and I always thought it was gross. But then I remember when we put out milk and cookies one night for Christmas, when we're opening up the presents the next morning, I saw on the glass that there were lip marks with the crumbs. I was like, oh, that's my dad. No question. There's no disagreement, no question about it. That's my dad. Like, I know Santa's not real. It's my parents. And I asked my mom one day in CVS when I was a little kid, and she's like, yeah, you got us. So from then on, it was kind of like everything was open. It's okay, so let me see what else is happening here. So leaning towards skepticism, leaning towards questioning things has always been something that I've done. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact age to mention.